Hey, it's finally time to put my engine in Mac. This engine is from like an 87 to 89 G50 Carrera 911. It's going into this 1974 chassis, which has been backdated to look like a 1969 through 73 chassis. Confusing, I know. But first, we have to mate the engine to its newly rebuilt transaxle. I missed it just by that much. So extra clearance on that side and not enough on that side. So my measurements were a little bit off, but it's okay. We'll just, keep cutting. The engine is just resting on two heavy duty furniture dollies, one for the engine, one for the transmission. But it's important to be able to tilt the engine up so that the transmission selector shaft can go inside the tunnel of the car. So I use this scissor jack to kind of lift up the transmission so that it can go inside the car. And then I push from the back, and voila, getting the angle right and getting it to clear the back of the car is one of the hardest parts. The engine's almost in. It still has a fair ways to go. Probably, I don't know if you can tell, but that's the motor mount. There's probably 3 or 4 fingers of distance there. So it still has to come up. Engine has to come up or the car has to go down. But the problem is I'm having trouble with this muffler. See, this is a big aftermarket G&L or JHL or something like that. It's running into my rear valence, which is all, this is a stock piece, this is custom. The way that it comes together is a little bit custom, but unfortunately, I don't think it's gonna work with this license plate panel. So I'll have to remove one of the two. I'll probably just take the license panel off for now, or maybe I'll take the exhaust off, I don't know. Probably need to just modify this exhaust, which is no big deal. I'm not in love with it anyways. I kind of like the headers, but I don't really love the muffler. So we'll have to do some customization to make it work. Here's a bottom view of everything installed. Nothing got squished or pinched or damaged as far as I can tell. So I'll give you a few tips. I mean, there's lots of tutorials and step-by-step instructions online. I did this by myself. So one thing you need to do is get the axles to clear the starter and clear the flange and stuff. So I use these strings to kind of support them, keep them out of the way. It's a little harder on that side. I've already taken one of the strings off, but that kind of keeps it in the place for you as you're lifting or lowering the car or the engine. The other thing I do is I put these bolts in first before I do the rear bolts. And I actually just hand thread them in without these M8 bolts. So that just gives you a lot of freedom to be able to thread them in, get them started so they don't cross thread into the chassis. The other thing that helps is I have these bolts that are pointy. These are actually too long for this car because it's an earlier car, but these are helpful not only because they're longer, but they're actually easier to get started. And then once everything is drawn up tight, it's just simple to remove the pointy bolts and put some shorter bolts in. I like to leave the bell crank out because it invariably gets stuck on something. So I put that in after I do the install. You know, the heater ducts, all that good stuff will go on later when I have more time. Clutch cable, that should work out well. It's gonna be a fun car. And then regarding the exhaust issue, I'm not sure if it was maybe just put on upside down. So I don't know. Also, this is GHL. If you know if a standard exhaust, like 2 in, 2 out, would work, because that looks like it's roughly the same spacing as a stock muffler. So I could either go with an aftermarket, 2 in, 1 out, or I could try to either modify this one or make this one work. I mean, there it is upside down, or what I think is upside down. I don't think that's right at all. It hangs down way too low. But at least I could loosen the V-band clamps and get it running this way, or at least go for a test drive, and then reposition this thing so it tucks up inside there. There actually is a fair amount of space up in there. These look like they're just a little too long, so maybe I just have to shorten this. I don't know. If you have any thoughts on running a stock exhaust with this header system, please let me know. It's really great to finally get this engine in the car. I know it's been a long time coming. Actually, the transmission too, it's gonna be a fresh transmission, a rebuilt transmission. I can't wait to try that out as well. So stay tuned. Next week, I should be able to do the first drive and driving impressions as finally a 911. So thanks you guys for your support. Thanks for being here, and we'll see you next week. I'm gonna be working on this probably every day till Rennsport. Cheers.